I came across Jack Halberstam's Female Masculinity, which pretty much says that just because you're female doesn't mean you have to be a woman. And my brain just like exploded. I was like, that is it. Like, just because I was like, why? Like, I'm like, all my body hair just like stood up, because every time I like say that line, it just like, I feel it. And that was the first time that I realized, okay, like I need to start questioning my gender identity. And so the first time that I vocalized that I wasn't a girl was when I was 3 years old, and my dad was dressing my sister and I to go outside and play.
Yeah.
And he had put my shorts on, and I had run out, and I wasn't wearing a shirt, and I was happy. And he said, hey, come back, you're not done getting dressed. And I said, boys don't wear shirts. So I was 3 years old, and as a 3-year-old, I didn't know how to say that I wasn't a girl, or that like I just wanted to live my life, right? The thing that I said was, I see that boys don't wear shirts when they're outside, so I'm going to claim that I don't want to wear a shirt so that people realize that I'm not a girl.
Yeah.
So that was that first time, and then in first grade, and just trying to find different ways to present that, but then it got to be dangerous in my school to be anything non-normative, and it's like that in practically any middle school, maybe any high school that you're going to be in. But being in that all girls environment, you have to perform hyper femininity, and you have to be so heterosexual that like it's not even a question, or else you are the outcast, or you are bullied, or you are harassed, or whatever it may be. And so I subconsciously repressed all the things that I knew about myself and not being a girl until I got to college, where it was actually safe for me to explore my queer identities. And it was only in college that I realized that I was queer. I went into college thinking I was a straight cisgender woman. The weirdest thing in the world to me right now.
Yeah.
And then I fell madly in love with a woman, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gay. So I was like, okay, I'm just a gay woman who's masculine. But then I was like, no, it's not just that I like button downs and that I present myself masculinely. Like, I am a masculine person. Like, I'm not a woman. Something about that word just hurts when it's said in association to me. And so I then, rather than just exploring my presentation, right, my clothes, my hair, I cut my hair from my waist to where it is now.
Yeah.
And so after socially kind of just exploring what type of expression felt at home, I realized that it was deeper than just expression, right? So it was more than, oh, I dress masculinely. Yeah. No, it wasn't that I was a masculinely dressed woman. It was that I was a non-binary masculine person. And so I realized that that term woman, or any association with like ma'am or ladies or anything that was gendered in that way, just didn't feel right. And so it has only been about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, since I have come out as gay at first, and then realized that, well, gay doesn't work, because as a non-binary person, gay in its traditional term means one gender who likes the same gender, right? So typically gay is associated with, if you're a man, you like other men. Or if you're a woman who's using that term, you're a woman who likes other women. And so I'm like, well, I'm non-binary. And if gay is typically used in a binary sense, what am I going to use for my sexuality term? And so I use queer as my sexuality term, because I see it as a very expansive, it doesn't really, its whole purpose is that it doesn't really put you in a box. When you say that you're queer, people literally have no clue what you're talking about. And that is what I love about it. Yeah, because then if I feel comfortable, I can share what that means in more detail. But if I feel like someone's prying on my personal life as something that's just fascinating in a fetishy way, then I'm like, I don't have to tell you what queer means to me. Like that, I can choose that. And as queer people, as trans people, I think it's extremely important that we have those boundaries, because people expect so much from us through education or even on social media to just perform, and it can be exhausting. So setting boundaries is, whoever you are, y'all, set your boundaries. You like support yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Like, so you've been like, you realized who you are about, you said like 3.5 years, is that right?
Yeah, about 3 years, yeah.
Nice. I knew that I was LGBT, feels a long time ago, but probably back in 2008.
Ooh.
So fourth grade. And so,
Fourth grade, we love it. We love baby queers. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
so precious. Wow.
yeah, it's pretty
I
cool.
wish I could have unrepressed all of the things I had discovered when I was 3 in a safe space to be that like young queer person. Because it feels weird. Like I'm 23 years old and for the first time I can see myself in the mirror or like
Yeah,
I understand who I am. And but I'm also so grateful because there are so many like baby queers these days that don't ever have to go through the wrong puberty
uh-huh.
or already know that there may be a whether it's a gender or sexuality alliance like at
Yeah.
their school. Like, there's just so much more, which is so beautiful.
Like I know that for we looks like we got some awesome new people. So hello, Bryce and April, welcome.
Hey,
Dude,
Hello.
Well,
um, hey, just to add to that, it also kind of depends where you're. So I have a very accepting family. My mother has been on my side. She's been a big part of it. But sadly, I have a divided family. My dad hates my guts. He's told me twice that I was a disappointment, and including telling me to kill myself. I've also had an issue of where I went to high school. I went to high school at
Mm.
a school here in Florida called Wellington High. If you ask anyone who goes there, they'll tell you horror stories because it is one of the ugliest high schools. It's it's the most entitled people you'll ever meet in the world, and they're very ugly and aggressive.
hello?
And I didn't come out initially because I realized something was different when I was 8. I was actually like I realized I had something different and I was going to initially come out when I was 15, but I remember hearing death threats in Wellington. People threatened to kill you there. These are the boonies. These are redneck areas where they will kill you and hang you. So I hid it for the longest time, and I had enough problems with my father, who was,
Hey,
let's
can
just say
you
my
hear
father's a
us?
piece of garbage. And let's just say that when I finally did come out, I came out when I was 18, and I really do encourage people to try to come out when they are comfortable because when I came out when I was 18, best feeling in the world. I'm 24 now, and I'm so happy that I came out when I did because I'm not gonna lie, I was suicidal when I was 18, and coming out saved my life. I don't think enough people get that. If you come out when you're ready, like, dude, I can't hear you, Dan. Can you tell
I'm
me?
listening.
Oh, okay, I was like, oh, am I talking? But yeah, when I don't know, I don't think enough people get that. I don't think enough people get that when you're coming out, you need to be ready. If you're not ready, it will not be the whole experience you hope it to be. I don't know. It really breaks my heart that I hear about these horror stories with kids, and me coming from one of those horror stories, I can identify with them. I mean, I am the best I've been, but I didn't become the best I've been till literally 2 years ago. I had hell to pay in my head. I mean, I came for things. First, I came out as gay. Then I came out as bisexual. Then I went back to gay. Then I went to pansexual. It just kept jumping and jumping and jumping. But pansexual has stuck for me for 4 years. And my happiest relationship to date. I'm not dating now because I stepped away for a minute because my tastes were a little weird for a bit. The best one is still gender neutral. Gender neutral takes the prize from me right now.
That's
So I don't
awesome.
know.
Yes.
I think more people need to realize that you have to come out when you're ready, but you also have to be careful. The areas you're in can make things hell on earth. I am living in a city in West Palm Beach, Florida. It is literally the best city. If this is the Mecca in Florida, well, except for maybe Miami, but it is probably one of the best. This and Lake Worth. These are probably the two best cities, and I feel so much more free here now. I think that's another thing. We need to get more cities like this, more meccas for people to feel safe.
Yes.
Especially with
I totally agree with everything that you said, especially because it's so hard when people I get a lot of questions from folks about like which ways do I tell my family about my LGBTQ identity or just like, what can I do to best support myself? And a lot of the times I have to be really careful and say, like, make sure that you know what your like your school district community guidelines are, or like how different rulings in your area have gone for queer people, especially because if I am in a state that has protections, then I don't want to be saying like, oh, every state has this, because it's so, like you said, like radically different just depending on if it's your town or your city, or if you just go to from one part of Florida to another part. And so like also making sure that people aren't, whether it's purposeful or not, outing other people when they aren't ready, or making that pressure to folks to feel like they have to come out if they're not ready. I also think that it's super important, and it's a very personal information if you decide to share. So it should always only come from that person and not from any type of external pressure. But yeah, definitely keeping in mind all different types of what your physical environment is, and also how it makes you feel mentally and emotionally, because that's going to impact your ability to take care of yourself and do the things that you are responsible for doing.
That's awesome.
Also,
Let's ask let's say hi to April. April,
Hello.
hey, April.
can you 1 second, April? Trying to unmute you. 1 minute. Trying to unmute you. Try to figure out how. I asked. April.
She might be able to unmute herself.
April,
There's like a.
can you unmute yourself by chance?
There you go.
Hello?
Hello.
There we go.
We can hear you.
I did it. Okay,
Great.
cool.
Sorry, we weren't like picking on you, like saying that your audio thing. We just wanted everyone. Now it's your turn. We can acknowledge you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yes.
Hey, April, can you introduce who you are and how you relate to our group?
Well, I have a daughter that is transgender, and she, at a young age, knew, but was not able to communicate that to us. She knew there was something different about her, but couldn't figure it out until then we went through the teen years, which was very, very difficult. You know, the drugs, the alcohol, and there was anger, and I knew it wasn't the typical teenage, drama. I knew it was something else, but I couldn't pinpoint it until she was ready to come out and tell us. And we talked about it, and I think my husband, it was a little different for him. He had a lot of questions, but he also told her, first and foremost, you are my child, and therefore I will always love you. And she's really laid back. She's really cool. She's not ashamed of who she is or what she is. Or she went to each person we own a shop. We build new sets for news stations. She's our welder. She went to every employee that worked there and told them that she was transgender. Talk about a proud moment that she tackled that by herself, and everybody's accepting of her. But at the same time, we live in the South, small town, so I still worry when she goes out. And she's 27 now, but I'm her mom. I still worry. But I think I advocate far more than she does. She doesn't think any of this should be an issue. And so she goes about her way. Her voice is, let's say, it's not a real masculine voice. So in order to sound female, it's so easy. It's just this sweet sound. It's not a raspy sound, because she didn't have that deep voice. And there's, we just slowly figured it out and what she was comfortable with. So, but we
That's
stood
awesome.
behind it, and we still do. So, I mean, I'm the one that wants to go do the gay pride things and,
Yes.
and so
Yeah.
she'll come with.
Yes.
And one thing that we both want to do is get matching tattoos that are in
Yes.
the open and that people can recognize. We haven't figured out what it's going to be, but I want people to be able to see it and know that I'm a safe person, that you can approach me if you're LGBTQ, and I would love you, accept you, and so that's kind of what we're about.
That is beautiful.
And
I
every
actually have a suggestion. If sorry, Nancy, were you saying? I'm sorry. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no, I was just saying that, no, you're so good. I was just saying that's so beautiful. And also that's amazing that she is happy and just like feels like herself, because I know there are many trans women that spend many years in like, whether it's vocal training, like vocal training, like with therapists, or have a lot of dysphoria around their voices. And so I love when, whether it's a trans masked person or a trans femme person, and they're just like, my voice is my voice. It doesn't matter if I'm the stereotypical this or that, because my voice is very femme still, and I'm taking testosterone, and I don't want my voice to get deeper. I don't want it to, when I pretend to be my dad, I can actually sound a lot like him, which is scary. I'm like, no, like go back higher. I don't want it to get that deep. So
Yeah.
that just made me so happy that like she is just herself.
Yeah, she is. And I mean, when she's just by herself, just uses her regular old voice. But when we've been out and about, I think we were in a department store and she wanted to try some clothes on. So she was talking to the lady, and I turned, I'm like, what? Where'd that voice come from? And it was beautiful. And I was just like, wow. I said, you
Yes.
used your voice? And she said, well, I had to. I got to change some, I wanted to try on clothes. She says, I only use it when it's necessary.
Yeah, for safety, of course.
Yeah,
That makes a
yes.
lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, if
But-
I ever have to go very macho, whether it's like because I'm walking into a men's restroom or just like a very masculine space, and I'm not sure how the support of trans people or queer people in general is, right? Like, if I have to be that more macho person for my own protection, like the ways in which we have to navigate space are like so dependent on where we physically are. So true.
Yes. She also she does have a deep male voice that she teases my nieces and nephews, my younger nieces and nephews, and she does what she calls her Tyrone voice. And it's real deep and masculine and loud and scary. And they just laugh and laugh and laugh because they're young enough. They just know her as Irie, and she's a girl.
Yeah.
They don't know the Kyle that she used to be. And but she said she's used that on occasions when she's been out on the street, and somebody said something to her or approached her, and she would just bring out her Tyrone voice, and it would just freak them out because they're looking at her. You're a beautiful woman. Why do you sound like that? And then they go away. So she is careful. She always has her eyes open. But it's quite an experience, and I'm grateful for the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
Very grateful for that. I know we still have work, but I think it's going to help. And with technology, with the internet and these kind of things, I think we'll get there faster than without.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome, April, to hear from
thank
you.
you.
Hey, April, just a suggestion. Damn it, I keep interrupting you.
Yeah, it's okay.
So just a suggestion for the tattoo. It's one that I got. Can't show it here. It's so I got a slit over my heart, and it bleeds the rainbow. That's like a little
that's
thing. It
awesome.
shows that this is from you. It's coming from your heart. So it's just something I got. It was actually my first tattoo.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well,
And
it
it
will
was
be
beautiful.
in a fleshy area, so it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
Mm.
Next, let's make sure everyone gets heard. Hey, Archibald, can you hear us? Fine.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Jacob, can you hear us, and can we hear you? Jacob?
Jacob?
His audio is not working, so he's trying to fix it. So let's do. Hey, Terrence, can you tell who you are?
Yeah, so what's up? I'm Terrence. I'm 32 years old from California. First time I came out was when I was 12 years old, and I started watching this show called Queer Folks. Not the original, the Canada version, but the American version, and that helped me understand myself and others in the LGBT community as well. So I came out as 12 years old. The funny thing about that is when I came out, I did not come out the normal way as telling parents. How I came out to my mom, who was the most hilarious moment because I was doing something on computer and my mom found a virus on her computer. Yeah. So I was being one of those naughty kids on a computer.
Typical teenager.
Yeah. And
If it makes you feel any better, man, same thing here.
And so that's how my mom found out. And then later when I was in college, I told my dad, and my dad is homophobic, so he did not take that well as well. So
That's unfortunate.
But yeah, the family is somewhat of the family is open and accepting of who I am. So
Yeah, are you in? Can your father hear this right now, Terrence?
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm on my
We want to
iPad.
make sure everyone feels safe in our Zoom call, because safety is number one. It's important for us and in LGBT International's Facebook group. And do you mind? Hey, Archibald, can you introduce who you are?
Yeah, sure. Should I raise my hand and turn on the video, or?
No, just start speaking.
Okay. My name is Archibald Drake Weeks. I chose my name myself. I don't really feel comfortable sharing my birth name though. So I just turned 19 a couple weeks ago, and I really came out fully when I was 13, as far as queer status goes. So first, when I was about 10, I came out as bi. I was very open about it in school, and I got picked on for it a lot. Thankfully though, my family was pretty supportive. Apart from my birth dad. My birth dad wasn't exactly your typical. He might not have been homophobic in the typical variety, but he could have been better in some ways about it. And then I came out as trans when I was 13. So first I thought I was non-binary, but when I was around 17 or 18, I figured out that I was really a trans guy. And around the same time when I came out as trans, I had also come out as polyamorous, which had made it a bit harder in school for me. I was very open and unashamed, and people weren't very fond of that. But I kept pressing through because I just felt so much more comfortable being myself. I've had ups and downs, especially in relationships. A couple of years ago, I got out of, I was 17. It's about 17 and a half. When I was about, 17, or I turned 17, I got into a very abusive relationship that I left 4 months later.
Sorry to hear that.
And then August last year, I met my husband. We've been together for almost a year now, and we've been married for a couple.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah.
And Archibald, like, let's see. Is your area where you're from pretty accepting for LGBT people or not so much?
Depends on exactly where you are in Albuquerque. It's been pretty. We have pride and everything, but it's kind of pretty mixed. It really depends on where you are and who you're hanging around with, especially since this is a very religious area. I named like 8 different churches within walking distance of my house and each other, and we only have one church, which is one that I go to, that is LGBT plus affirming. We did the Pride event last year, and I attended the booth for a few hours, and it was pretty great. Actually, in Albuquerque, how accepting people are gonna be really depends on exactly where you are, because politically and religiously, this is kind of a very mixed area. It kind of depends on where you are and who you're talking to.
That's good. Like, is Albuquerque in like the near Arizona? Is that Albuquerque?
Yeah, it's in New Mexico. It's the next state over.
Yeah, because my nana lives in Artesia, New Mexico. Like the city, it's like a small city in New Mexico. So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I go up to Albuquerque.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Archibald and everyone. Hey, Jacob, is your audio now working?
Looks like he disconnected again.
Okay, so he's having stuff, but overall, has anyone ever been to a in-person Pride event?
Yep, plenty of times, and I don't remember a few of them.
I've been. I went once last year, and then once when I was like 13 with my birth dad. But like the first time, it kind of was. We just got there late, so there wasn't much to do. And the second time, I was manning a booth. I was helping man a booth, so that one was much more meaningful.
That's awesome. Like so, if anyone didn't know, I'm Danielle, and I'm one of the head admins of LGBT International, and Archibald and Bryce and Lex, you guys are our members, and April is our senior admin, so she's just recently got co-owner, and she always gives me a hard time of being calling her senior because her age, but like, no, you're young. And then Terrence is our senior moderator, so he's responsible for all of the mods in our groups. And thank you, Bryce and Archibald, for being our awesome members of our group. And you two lads for hosting this too.
Of course, thank you for having me.
This is our first ever event stuff, and I'm not sure what will happen once it says 40 minutes, because for some reason this is very funky and it gives me a time lot of stuff. So if it does disconnect, I'll send each of you guys another new room so we can continue our talk if it cuts in 10 seconds. But I'll send out the brand new Zoom meeting, and we can do part 2 if you'd like. Does that work?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd
be awesome.
How about you? Does that work?
I think we can stay on. Did anyone just get that notification?
It says that there's no longer a time limit.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Good.
Nice.
Okay. So,
finally, a good thing happened. What?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a. What are you gonna say, man?
What were you saying?
Well, I was thinking just for like a conversation, like a topic. I was actually gonna talk about like. So I'm connected to another page, LGBTQ Horror Nerds, and we talk about a lot of media. Is there any particular media that's LGBT plus that you personally think is like has gotten better, more interesting? I mean, like to give a small example, mine is video games. Like what are you saying?
Yeah. Okay. I would bring up animation. I think the field of animation has gotten more inclusive. And I guess this is really what I'm more familiar with as an animator myself, because you got newer shows like Steven Universe or Craig of the Creek. Then looking at like the older shows that have queer subtext I like. Two of my favorite cartoons are Darkwing Duck and Ozzy and Drix especially. part of the reason that I got into Ozzy and Drix was like it was very subtle, but there was so one episode. A lot of fans have speculated he was bi for one time, and one of the specials it was sort of confirmed. The censors got a way around it, but there's also one episode that strongly implies that he's trans, and it's just like because the episode revolves around him getting infected with the parasite, and at first he thinks he's pregnant, and at her question about it, he's just like, why not? Yeah, I'm a dude. Why can't I? Yeah, I can have a baby. Why not? You know, it's kind of, I really like seeing that. I mean, maybe it's sort of, I didn't grow up with the franchise itself because I was scared of the art style as a kid. I didn't come to love it until I was like 18, and this was one of the first thing my folks bonded over, but you know, animation's always been kind of, you could see like the progressiveness alongside it, and especially like shows like Darkwing Duck or Ozzy and Drix. Everything I liked about it was just like the subtle queer subtext, a tiny bit of subtle polyamorous subtext, but like it's also was one of the first shows to really acknowledge police racism. It's not like it was there, it did so very subtly, but basically, you know, the show revolves around a black ex-cop. You know, he's constantly in trouble with the police for doing the right thing. And the part of the film where he was a cop, you know, he was always treated very differently than his peers. He never gets fired for doing the right thing. He does end up getting reinstated, and it's one of the first. It didn't really dive into police brutality in the nature of being a kid show in the early 2000s, but it's one of the first shows to really acknowledge and talk about police negligence and racism, even though it did so very subtle. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of bringing an example because that's one of the main shows I'm into right now, but it's like, I just think this meme is kind of one I've connected to personally as a queer person, and seeing that back then, like just how many Disney animators have come out, you know, but it's been a medium that marginalized people have always been very involved in, and now we're finally starting able to come out the woodworks more, especially queer people, because we're not as heavily censored.
Yeah, you mentioned Disney, and I just want to congratulate Josie Toda for coming out as transgendered female. So congratulations to Josie as well.
Yeah, like
Who was it that came out?
Josie, she played on Jessie.
On Jessie? Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to Google this right now.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen that show. It's called Jessie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, all right. I'm doing a Google search.
So I have a little so there is a game that I think should be given a lot of love and respect. I'm actually looking at it right now as I speak. And that's The Sims. The Sims was one of the first games that allowed for gay couples, and they just did an update. I think it's so good. It allows you to have access to any pride flag to put up as part of your inventory, and to give your characters pride colors. They're very but The Sims have always been kind of that game. Them and The Last of Us, because they just did the second game, and the second game has one of the best depictions of a lesbian relationship I've ever seen in my life. Ellie in this game is the best protagonist they could have chosen. She's just
from Last of Us,
right? But she's vulnerable. Yeah, like play Left Behind. If you have a chance, watch the Left Behind DLC. It will make you cry, but it is also one of the best coming out like things I've ever seen. It's just so good at it. It's literally just a random kiss. They randomly kiss and then they have a moment. It's just good. I don't know. I respect that video games are trying to push more, because that is a medium that speaks to a more disenfranchised crowd. So it's becoming more accepted. So why not add certain things to it that should become more accepted as well? I don't know. The Sims always spoke very heavily to me.
My kid used to play Sims. What age group is a child able to play Sims?
Any age.
Sims
It's
is
one of
typically, I would say like maybe 13 and up. I played it as a kid, but they're not really, you know, you can make, it's not bad for the most part, but you can make the Sim have sex or try for a baby, so I would not recommend letting any kid under 13 play it.
Here's the poll rating system right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
I have never played video games. Video games have never really been a part of my life. If you want something that's
sort of like The Sims but is family friendly, it's not exactly like similar, but Miitopia is a really good game. So
Yes.
it's a Nintendo game. It's a me dungeon crawler, and you can have any character like. So your characters, as they interact with each other, hang out more, they'll develop bonds. And that they bond enough, they can become soulmates. And your soulmates, they can be of any gender combination, and also characters can have multiple soulmates as well. So it's Miitopia is a really inclusive game, and it's very fun.
Wait, what's
It
that
is.
game called? That sounds incredible, and I would have played video games had I.
Yeah, it's
known
called
that had
Miitopia. It's so it's a Nintendo game for the 3DS, which no, I just haven't played it recently because my DS screen cracked internally, and I just found out that it would be more expensive to repair than replace. So I'm gonna have to wait a few paydays until I can play it again at the very least.
Yeah. Oh, has anyone seen Disclosure? Has anyone watched Laverne Cox's documentary on Netflix, Disclosure?
I have not, but I
It is
will
Can't say I
soon.
have.
It is a must-watch. So, like myself, as a non-binary trans-masculine person, it was everything that I already knew internally about what the media was, how the media has represented trans folks, like just throughout time, but like showing how the different representations impact, pretty much everything.
We're
And
studying
like showing in the different examples, and it was unbelievable. So please definitely watch that. Engage in conversation on it. Make
I
your
love her.
family and friends watch it. Oh my gosh, Laverne Cox is iconic.
Yes,
She was a guest judge on Americans Got Talent a couple of years ago, so that show's getting a lot more LGBT people and stuff, which is cool.
Just Laverne Cox is amazing. I'm not even familiar with that much of her acting, but like the work she's done outside of it, like what she's done is amazing. It's just
Incredible.
Yeah, I've been a fan of her ever since I watched Orange Is the New Black. So ever since that show, I just
Yep. And the fact that she has a twin brother,
yes,
that I was like,
I did not know this.
Yes, someone told me that. I believe it was her twin brother who played her pre-transition in the show.
Mhm.
They were identical
That's
twins,
smart.
I think. And I was like, those producers got so lucky.
That's like very wow. And like he's hard
And
for.
then you give your sibling a job, like sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a twin, I probably would go ahead. I think that,
Make a documentary about my life using my sister.
yeah.
Any other queer like media or films or shows that y'all have been watching? I love The Politician.
Oh.
So one of them, I know I said the Queers folks, but also the Fosters. If you guys have not heard about the Fosters also do LGBT related. Yeah, so it's like the most incredible show out there.
One of my favorite movies I've seen with my partner, we watched a movie called Hidden Kisses, which is a French movie back probably I would say 2016 or 17 or so. It came out. It's a French-themed LGBT couple, and basically one guy got outed. He got outed to the public that he's gay, and then bullying and harassment. At one point of it became suicidal, and the parents were super homophobic and like literally kicking the guy's face and stuff. And then one person outed him, and then he figured out who he finally found in love, and it was a guy that was hidden in the closet. So it's a really good LGBT movie. Recommend watching.
Yeah,
I love love stories.
I can't name many films, although I can't even really name that. Most of the best queer reputation I found is mostly in video games. I mean, there are some good shows that do have solid canon rep. Like, you know, the only two I can name off the top of my head, though, are like Steven Universe and Craig of the Street. Although I have had maybe a lot of shows that I watch are older, so it seems stuff that's, you know, pretty. Maybe it's not exactly this explicit representation I'm looking for, but I've seen like a lot of the older shows where like a lot of characters really implied to be queer. Like in Darkwing Duck, like the implication is kind of strong. I know there's kind of, I mean, so like Drake, he does have a girlfriend, but she was only in it for like 8 episodes. And
the beard.
Yeah, like the beard, pretty much. Like, she was in there for 8 episodes. Also, it's an episodic show, and every episode we see them, their relationship is very rocky, verge of breakup. But it's like the rest of, other than those 8 episodes, also an episodic series. He's strongly implied to be married to Launchpad, and they also have an adopted daughter, which they raise together. So the bisexual subtext here is very, very strong. Especially in the comic series, there was an arc where like they had a falling out, and like everything, it really does. It was very strongly implied in that comic that they were married, after they had falling out, they got divorced, and then later got back together. It's never been strictly confirmed, but it's very strongly implied, and I'm just like, ugh. Yeah.
My favorite thing is reading queer subtext into things that are not supposed to be queer, because there's always a way.
There's always been talk about the hidden
always,
shows that like Darkwing Duck or Ozzy and Drix. Like, those shows just have so much queer subtext in it. Granted, it might be very subtle, but like, it's just like, and as like liberating, also saying that God, and especially parties on Ozzy and Drix so much, I see myself represented in it. Being a bi trans guy myself, growing up in the early 2000s, have such an iconic character from this era who's implied himself to be a bisexual trans man, and just like, and also like I've seen, it's also one of the shows that I've also seen as far as like autistic, where I plays really into it, since autistic people are also shown that we're more likely to be queer, and it's like another character. It's just like seeing like another character. He's always been very strongly implied to be autistic from the beginning. On top of that, I suppose also implied to be queer and polyamorous, even if it's just an implication. I just feel so seen through it. I was talking to my mom about that one episode where Ozzy thought he was pregnant, and like she said that representation is important, and she said that it was pulled off surprisingly well for that era. Maybe they didn't have this one, like, out of body experience. That episode was pretty misogynistic and kind of transphobic, which is so ironic considering how the main character was implied to be trans in the earlier episode. But the rest of the series, it's like it does like a pretty good job, much better than I would expect for this era. And especially about a lot of shows from like 90s and early 2000s, there were a lot of cop cartoons. Everything was like blindly obeying and glorifying the police. But like, this was one of the first franchises animated franchises at least, to really criticize it. So I think the only thing that I've seen that really criticized it on that level before, maybe not, but most, maybe it's criticized it more because it was made for adults, was Shaft. And it's more, if it had been later, I think they would have been able to go into, able to talk about the subject more, but they did a surprisingly good job with this, considering how this was made in the early 2000s, and it's just, I know I kind of gassed this show up a lot. I guess I just bring it up because I'm such a big fan, and it's also one of the first things my husband and I bonded over. And also I think that seeing shows like that not only has queer subtext, but also directly addresses racism in the police force, especially because, Pride was always an intersectional movement. But ironically, there has been a lot of racism in the LGBT plus community. This is something that does impact me very much personally, because I'm white, but my husband is black, and our experiences are very differently. There have been talked to me so many times about not feeling welcome in the queer community because he's black, or not feeling welcome among other black people because he's queer. And I think this intersection is something that we really should talk about. We shouldn't be embracing everything that makes us different, because we're all unique. No one person is the same. It's not, it's not like,
absolutely.
Yeah. People often push a narrative of you're only allowed to have one thing that makes you different, but for a lot of us, there are multiple things that make us different.
Intersectionality. Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, just a heads up, y'all, I unfortunately have to leave in about 6 minutes.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you guys know.
Okay. Let's introduce Ash. Hey, Ash.
Hey, Ash.
Can you unmute?
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Ash.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, yeah.
Welcome to our video feed. you're probably wondering what we're doing. We're basically, this is our LG Express Yourself Pride 2020 event in our Facebook group. So it's our first ever live stream. So this is a learning experience for us all. And Lex, can you introduce who you are again?
Yes. Hello, yes, hey Ash, it's Lex. I use they, them pronouns.
How about you?
And for,
sorry.
yes, what pronouns do you use, Ash?
I use they, them too.
And where are you calling in from?
Ontario, Canada.
Hey, nice.
Welcome.
Amazing. So for folks who, so I guess for Ash and some other folks that join a little later, I identify as a non-binary transmasculine Jewish human. Those are my terms. I use they, them pronouns. I came to my, all of my queer identity very late in my life when I was able to finally express that safely to others, even though I knew internally very early on. And so I'm happy to be able to be very open about my experiences and to use my platform and my privilege and my safety as a white Jewish person to have conversations about whether it's gender or sexuality or race or just the current state of society and like what needs to be done in actual tangible action steps. So I'm just excited to be sharing this space with you guys.
We're glad you're here. So basically, to continue our like momentum of what we are doing, a good important thing is, if you didn't know, June is our Pride Month. So basically, every year in the month of June 1st through June 30th, us LGBT people plus allies, like April is an awesome LG advocate / ally. We basically do huge events throughout the world that celebrate our diversity and pride and stuff. And we hope, I'm hoping so much in every country hopefully gets represented fairly and treated equally. Especially, I just recently looked on a website called EqualDex. It shows all the LGBT rights in each country, and I noticed one area in particular in the world that is not treated the same as like the US and UK would be Africa. So we need to like somehow get Africa and like other like minority like countries and continents help fix one another, like to have our rights.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I am
that
hoping
is-
that
I think the
Africa.
police could use a hand too.
yeah,
That-
I mean,
the thing,
guys, if you're in the South, you're in trouble. Just for sure.
well, yeah, I'm in the South, but talking about Africa
Yeah.
is because when missionaries went to Africa and converted the Africans to Christianity and told them that homosexuality was wrong, it was a sin. And so now this is going on in the Methodist Church.
Yeah, I'm well familiar
Yeah.
with this as a queer Methodist.
I'm
what's
familiar
going on.
with Methodist because I grew up in Methodist church.
Yeah, and as a queer Methodist, this situation going on is like really tough.
Well, they say, hey, wait a minute, you're changing your minds. You came over to our country. You turned us into Christians, but now you're saying this. And so they're not going for that. They're not going to be all inclusive. They're all.
Because it's such a heavily
Colonialism.
colonized area that's
Colonialism.
Yeah. It will take a lot of work.
and
over
it makes
there.
it even more dangerous for queer people living in Africa, you know, especially queer Christians who want to have that sense of community, but also have to live in fear of being persecuted or even killed for something they never even chose.
Yeah.
Right, because it is the law in Africa that if you're LGBTQ plus, either they'll kill you or they'll put you in jail for being LGBT.
Yeah, it's like that in a lot of places, especially in the Middle East. It's really bad. I've known a lot of queer people from the Middle East, and in most Middle Eastern countries, it's the same way. Either you're imprisoned or you're killed. It's it's horrible.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, another problem is those countries are so just their instability doesn't help, because you might have a government that's good one day, but then they disappear the next day because they're taken down. One of the best examples of this is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this country. It's kind of a fragment country. It's called the Central African Republic. They have had 10 governments in 5 months. Their governments keep falling. They keep falling. And apparently there was one that was willing to go a little more the democracy route, and they fell in like, I think 48 hours. It's just, that's the sad part with these countries. They're unfortunately having their own struggles. So to help any group, they got to get established.
Yeah, when it comes to developing countries, they don't always have the resources to maintain, the governmental structure that they need. And that's what some of that makes colonization even worse, because, colonizers, they go over there and they say that, oh, we're going over here to, help these people, when in reality they're really only there to try and erase their culture. And it's just...
Yeah, they're trying to make folks assimilate to what they think is the ideal, to what they think is the best, which most times is extremely binary, is extremely rigid, and based on, like, Western European ideals that have no place in the places that they're going. And also, everyone, I just wanted to say I have to hop off now, but it was so lovely sharing this space with you. Happy Pride, and if anyone has questions or needs anything, please feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, and happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, and I'll share with everyone hey, Ash, I'm not sure, are you in our LGBT plus international group? How did you find our link?
Lex's Facebook.
Oh, awesome. So most likely, reach out to, Lex to join it. You probably already have their contact info.
Yeah.
We're glad you joined. So the next thing to go is what should we all discuss?
Also, to go back to whoever went to Pride, I never went to my Pride at all. So, and I am disappointed, because I was hoping to go to my very first Pride this year, but unfortunately with this COVID-19, I won't be able to.
I mean, Eric and I, we had to cancel our own wedding ceremony because of this. We were actually going to have a ceremony, but we had to cancel. And, it is sad. Like, I'm sitting next to what would have been my wedding dress right now, but at the same time, I understand that, why we have to stay home, because there's a pandemic going around and we have to protect ourselves and others.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I'm in Florida right now. We are, shutting down bars. We are, I'm worried that I might have to go to half paycheck again at work, because I don't know if we're going to stay open for much longer. We had 9,500 cases yesterday.
And yeah, it's been better over here. We have tight regulations. What we have lifted has been very loose. Public libraries and places of worship, they can operate at limited capacity now. But even I'm not exactly sure that it is a good idea. And personally, I get really worried over here, because my mom is a healthcare worker. She's a veterinary technician, and she also has asthma, which puts her at very high risk. People think that, we don't have to worry about it because it has a 3% mortality rate, but it's a 3% mortality rate isn't a non-existent one. And influenza has a 1% mortality rate, but it kills tons of people every year. And when I was about 8, I didn't see my mom for 2 weeks because she nearly died from influenza. Just because something is flu-like doesn't mean it's not serious. Or some diseases like scarlet fever, for example, that starts out with very cold-like symptoms, but it escalates, progresses very quickly. And if you don't catch it, if you catch it right away, it's easily treatable with antibiotics. But if you don't catch it soon enough, or if you ignore your symptoms, scarlet fever will kill you just like that. Just because something has cold-like or flu-like symptoms doesn't mean it's not serious.
Mm-hmm.
Should be noted that it's also 4 to 6% lethality here in the United States. Just FYI. So
one of the highest,
be a little more cautious.
What's it like?
Yeah, Spanish flu was 1 to 3%. So you guys know the thing that keeps getting compared to, it's deadlier then.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Danny.
Yeah, for Ash, what's it like in Canada? Since in America, in my area in Idaho, we don't much report stuff in Canada. Like, what's it like in Canada for LGBT rights and stuff for in your area?
We have tons, well, not tons of resources. There isn't like an LGBT center. It's more like lots of different little like organizations within organizations, like city-run groups and stuff. But
Kind of like
it's
a
pretty good.
kind of like a GSA.
Sort of, yeah. Like each school has a GSA and stuff.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's still unfortunate because a lot of the gym classes in schools are like binary and don't have a mixed gender option, which really sucks. But yeah, it's pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Hey, April, what's it like in your area?
Well,
Since
we're
you're
in
in
the
the South too.
we're in the good old South. So, which is a whole different
What state, if you don't mind me asking?
North Carolina.
Wow, I love North Carolina.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, it's great. We live in the middle of the state. We have same-sex marriage, which was a shock when that happened. But like for my daughter, she doesn't have much of a problem being transgender and going about town, and we, Archdale's a small town, but we butt up against High Point, Winston-Salem, and Greensboro. So it's much more accepting than it used to be. So there are changes. There are LGBTQ centers. There's all-inclusive churches. But I'm still very cautious when we're out and about. Just because I know how I don't want to. It's not like I don't want to judge anybody, but we got some good old redneck boys down here, and that. And I'm not,
Yeah,
that
we do have that over here. Not as much, it's a pretty mixed area. It's a pretty mixed area as far as political views goes. But I've also been down to Texas because my adoptive dad is from Texas, and I've been down there to visit my grandmother a couple times. And it's like when I've been over there in Texas, I've been a lot more cautious over there because it's a very, very much conservative area. And even then, it'd be hard to find a place that's originally this year. My family, we've talked about immigrating out of the U.S. for a few years. And late last year, we decided, or my folks decided on Italy. But even that's kind of a blessing in disguise. This pandemic postponed the move because the more and more research I did myself, the more I found that it's not a safe for place for transgender people because the Italian government treats us like criminals. There are stories of transgender women in Italy right now running out of estrogen and freaking boiling plastic bags trying to extract estrogen chemicals so that they don't go into withdrawal. And it's one of those things because I've been on testosterone for 9 months, and one thing that I found out that's really messed up about there is that in order to even apply to get on HRT, you have to appear in front of a judge with a public prosecutor. And it was a shock to me because especially since most of Europe has gotten a lot more progressive when it comes to LGBT plus issues. And just when I found out about Italy, that's really is, a shock that a lot of people assume that's safe because it's European. Most of Europe is progressive, but it's I wish people would talk about it more, especially for people who are considering immigrating or who have immigrated for whatever reason.
Well, you're talking about Italy, where the men are very masculine and dominating.
Yeah,
And
even then, even if I weren't if I were to go stealth, I'm very much gender non-conforming, and that's part of the reason why I never typically feel completely safe in most trans male dominated spaces because there is a ton of body shaming and toxic masculinity within the trans male community, and trans men who don't conform to gender stereotypes get bullied and harassed a lot. It's been,
Check
gender
into,
non-conforming men have always been very stigmatized.
Try Scotland.
Yeah.
They are now teaching LGBTQ
Yeah.
in elementary schools.
Really?
So,
Nice.
I've looked into Scotland, and it's more at this rate. Doing my research, with my family and all. At this rate, I'm leaning personally a little bit more towards Germany, and I still have to do more research on it. But Germany's gotten pretty progressive over the years. Its transgender healthcare is easily accessible, and also disabled workers have much more rights there, which is great for me to know because currently I'm unable to work in a traditional workplace due to my disabilities. So right now I'm a freelance artist, and I'm limited to that, and I get very little income from that. And because of the pandemic, I have postponed getting on SSDI. And my husband is disabled too. He can't work because of his narcolepsy, which he can't be medicated for either because when he was medicated, he would have severe hallucinations as a side effect.
wow.
It's like,
That's rough. Wow.
Yeah.
What's
It's-
the
I'm so sorry.
What was it, Ash?
Oh, why Europe?
Europe I'm more familiar with Europe, especially since my mom's side of the family is from England. So, and also basically my grandmother and grandfather met because my grandfather was in the military and he was stationed with England, and my mom and also my husband, his dad was in the military and he was stationed in Europe for some time, and they've been more, both sides, so multiple sides of my family have lived across Europe, and that's just sort of the area that I'm most familiar with and kind of seems like my safest bet at this point.
Yeah, if I ever wanted to move, my ideal place to live is London. I've been to London twice, but I would love to move to London.
Yeah, I have family in London. My great aunt, who I'm very close with, lives there. And because basically most of my mother's side of the family is from England, although I'm not on, I don't really talk with my dad's side of the family. My dad's side of the family is not very good, but I know that I don't really know any family, if I still have any family over there, but we're originally from Wales. So basically, so my family immigrated from Wales about 5 or 6 generations ago. So it was like in the 1880s that we immigrated over here. And I think about it's kind of ironic how, basically how all these years ago my family immigrated over from Europe to the U.S. and now I'm living in the U.S. wanting to immigrate to somewhere in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can't get out now.
No.
It's like,
Yep.
Isn't that a
tough
word,
when
Bill?
it's pandemic. But if there's a wrench in my plans, but I am grateful that, I have more time to think about and find a safer country because I'm relying on my parents, when it's more, like they called the shots and it was, originally the process was going a lot faster than I was expected because we were kind of rushing to get out of the country, and then because of the country that we were originally gonna move to is not a very safe one for people like me. So I'm glad that we have more time to think about it.
Awesome. And,
Yeah. What? I'm sorry. What are you saying, Danny?
okay.
God, we keep interrupting.
I know. I'll let you go.
So when you're going to Europe, so I have family all over the continent. We are currently in Mass due to the fact that we have a pretty heavy amount of LGBT plus people in the family. Avoid Eastern Europe, avoid Poland, avoid Ukraine, and I don't feel like I have to say this one, but avoid Russia.
Yeah.
My family, so we just had somebody get out of Poland. He actually broke protocol, broke quarantine to get out of Poland.
Oh, wow.
Poland is getting really hostile really fast.
Yeah,
they have a dictatorship now.
That's really helpful.
And also, big note. Okay, so I live in a part of Florida that's good. I'm living in West Palm Beach right now. It's a very, very happy, like pro gay area, and same with Lake Worth. But if you go 30 minutes out west, it is some of the most violent and so I did a protest with the Black Lives Matter movement out in Wellington. It's about 30 minutes away from where I am.
Yeah.
We had people show up with guns. We had people attack us, and we had a pretty violent attack. And I was wearing this. It's my little band I wear to the Black Lives Matter protest to show that we're with them. We support the movement. And I got jumped.
Yeah.
I got away, but I got jumped by 2 or 3 people telling me that to tell me to die because I was wearing the band. They told me I was going to die and I was going to be hung. So that's kind of the thing I think that happens in the South. We're regional. Some areas, bigger cities, they're okay. But a lot of those backwoods areas, or suburbs, they will get you. I mean, I'm pretty sure April can vouch for that one.
Yes. We can go to Raleigh and Durham, Charlotte, the bigger cities. Yeah, you can go because you do have LGBTQ communities and support. But yeah, some of these little towns, it's not I would not.
Been more
That's why I'm so happy to be in Canada because the guns are so controlled and there's no
and like the U.S. is like a real mixed bag. For a while, I was thinking that if I were gonna move, sorry, there's an old mattress behind me and it fell over onto the wall. Okay, so anyways, it's more of a point. I was thinking that if I were gonna stay in the U.S., I'd probably want to go to California since especially when the bigger cities tend to be a bit safer and tend to have more community over there. But at the same time, it's just so. God, it's just so expensive. Especially going over from New Mexico to California and being disabled. New Mexico, we are the second poorest state in the nation. And, it doesn't help that our education system is ranked very last in the country. Like, even with a degree, it's hard to find jobs. I mean, even with my mom, she had when she decided to go back to work in veterinary medicine, even she had a really hard time finding clinics to work for, despite she has a pretty impressive resume. Before she was a veterinary technician, she was an EMT, and before that she was a pharmacy tech. It was after she was an EMT, she was a pharmacy tech for a little while. She has a really impressive medical background, but even then it was really hard for her to find a clinic that she worked for. She ended up quitting over wages at this clinic, and for a long time she couldn't find work anywhere because a couple of coworkers she didn't get along with spread some really nasty rumors about her, and the other clinics, they didn't investigate whether or not the truth. Here, bad rumor, that's going to ruin our reputation. And then there's a workforce in here, it's just it's the reason it's because the economy, the workforce, it doesn't even really matter how good of a degree you have or how impressive a resume you have. If even slightly one thing goes wrong over here, you're gonna have a hard time finding work.
Now the
again.
You owe me $4.
But first I want to say.
You let me speak last time. It's on you, Danny. It's on you, Danny. You let me speak last time.
For the next last section of the thingy I was thinking for is to do a fast, easy start time. Wish me luck that my background filter will not disrupt the video, but let's see. It might show. So basically at my library, this month we were promoting LGBT books and virtually. So this month's book, I'm not sure if you guys have read this book. Do you see it?
I read the
I Am Jazz
one.
Yeah, have you heard of this book? Anyone?
You told me about that.
Might have something to read in my cousin.
This is a very controversial book in Idaho because Idaho just sadly approved 3 anti-trans bill. One is banning people from changing their birth stuff, and banning trans women and trans guys to play sports. So basically, this is a very important book in Idaho. Not in our field, and especially in Idaho, it's rare to see, because if someone isn't supporting our community, they want to destroy this book. And this book's been has been in public libraries, schools, and stuff throughout the U.S. and the world for the last at least the last 6 years. So this is a very deep, important book. It's about a young boy who transitions into a girl. So it's a very good book. So the parents think it's just a normal, straight male, but in reality, I'm a female, and it's a very
If I
important
had
book.
grown up with something like that, I feel like I would have been a lot more empowered. You know, that a lot of people don't understand that being trans isn't a choice, and there's actually been research to back it up. It's relatively new research yet, but studies have shown that transgender men and women have brain structures resembling that of our cisgender counterparts, and sadly, non-binary people haven't been included in studies, even though they should. But then also the research there also have been in support of them. They said that each brain, every brain does have both masculinized and feminized characteristics. Just that certain traits are more common in certain genders than other, and also found that some of the people that they scan had more sexually ambiguous brain structures. And they said that this makes sense. You think of transgender, it's not just male and female. There's gender queer, there's gender fluid, etc. And it's like, I think if I had something, if there had been research like that when I was a kid, or if I had stories like that growing up sooner, I think it would have been, a lot easier for me to really figure myself out and start to feel more comfortable in my own skin, because for a long time I hid it. I didn't understand what being trans was, and it's just like the thought of having surgery as a kid. Like, I felt that, I oftentimes said the idea of having surgery as a kid, quote unquote, become male, that was something that I was drawn to, but it was more, like I said, that I didn't understand the difference between surgery and being transgender. And I was the impression that it was a choice, and I just ran from it for so long, or didn't also understand, or even my dysphoria was different, how I had chest dysphoria, but I never felt dysphoric about my reproductive tract, and I want to have a baby one day, Oh, wow. Representation is just, sorry, going on a tangent there. Sorry, that was a bit long. It's just, I wish I had something like this as a kid, because representation is just so important.
Yeah, and I know, April, how's your trans daughter doing? If people don't know, can you, how's she doing handling all this ever-changing political climate?
She's doing very well. Like I said, she is in the mindset is none of you guys should be an issue. But I tell her it has to be, in order to change things and help our younger people, our younger generation. And, I have a grandson that's going to be 3.
Uh-huh.
And last summer, my son played, his dad played on a volleyball team. Well, everyone was gay except for him. And so he would bring my grandson, because they would have other functions too, get together, little things. And they would bring him. And he was at my house one day, and he went in my bedroom, and he goes, "Oh, you have a rainbow flag." And I said, "Yeah, I do." Now, of course, he doesn't know what that represents yet.
Yeah.
But it's going to, education is key.
Yeah.
And
right.
once we start educating our youngsters, things are just going to start getting better and better and more accepting. And of course, you're always going to have the idiots, the morons, but
the judgers.
Yeah.
I mean,
thing about closed-minded people is that their mouths
like
are
that.
usually open.
You know, I also think that it's a genetic thing, because when we look at my family with my transgender daughter, I also have a transgender, well, she was a transgender boy. She was a girl, and the day before she went off to college, she told her mom, "Oh, by the way, I'm transgender and I go by Joel now."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, "Oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
how's it going for you?" Because, well, I don't know. She went off to college, or he went off to college. So, and we have lesbians in our family, bisexuals in our family. This is all on my husband's side.
I don't really know that many queer people in my family besides my mom, because my mom's pan, and she's always been pretty open about it. She didn't come out to me until after I came out to her when I was 10. But like, yeah, I really do think that it is something that's genetic, and even then, homophobes and all that, they'll try to use science to discredit it, but the science and medicine is actually in support of us right now. And for once, we have tangible proof that we're not making this up. And it's, being queer, it's something that's perfectly natural. And like people, they often sort of trans people bring up that we're only about 4% of the population, but even though it's not common, it's only about the number of people who have red hair is only about 1%. Being trans is more common than having red hair. It might not be the most common thing on the planet, but it's perfectly natural. Same with orientation. It's some people just get made differently, and that doesn't mean that we can't love each other, spend time with each other. I'm very different from my family. I'm very different from all people I know. My husband and I are two entirely different people. People don't get how sometimes don't get how we're together, because we have vastly different interests. I'm autistic and he's not. He's monogamous, I'm polyamorous, and it's more, people don't understand it, but it's really things that this is just who we are. We're different and we love each other. Neither of us even chose to be this way in the first place.
I have a disability too.
I think younger people are able these days to figure themselves out. It's more open that way. I know that the high school that my daughter went to, it was, unfortunately to me, I think it was a fad. It was shock value. There's a lot of girls running around being lesbians, holding hands and kissing, and they weren't really lesbians. They just wanted to shock everybody.
And sometimes it's, the political lesbian movement, which is often, typically, terms promoting the idea that, gender integration is evil, and that we just need to choose to be gay in order to achieve equality, which that in itself is not only transphobic, but it's also very homophobic, because gay people don't choose to be gay.
Right.
The one that gets me is like when straight guys say I'm interested in lesbians, but they're not interested in gay men.
Yeah, or like how it's the thing that happens a lot, like pure fetishism, like me being always, because I've always been, I'm bi, I'm very openly bi. I'm bisexual man, and I have a preference for men, and because of that, I've always been, I am very much interested in male romance. But when you get into the yaoi and fujoshi communities, it's mostly just straight women I don't get how it's a bunch of straight women just openly admitting that they see gay men as nothing more than masturbation fodder, and somehow claiming that they're not homophobic. Queer people, we are not sex toys. We don't exist for other people's gaze.
There's a good joke me and my family used to make. I think it's a good one. How homophobic do you think people would be if we told them you cannot view any LGBT plus material if you're homophobic. How many guys do you think tomorrow would be like, what? I don't get to view girl on girl? I'm not homophobic anymore. That's been like a big joke for my
Yeah,
family.
that has been
Because
like a huge difference. Yeah.
I really do think when it comes to homophobic men, it's not even that they're against. I think it's more of just them thinking of behind doors stuff. I think they're like two
They're
men
mostly
being
thinking
together.
about,
I think that's what
like,
bothers a
or
lot of them.
sometimes they're biased. Like me and my granddad, back when my mom was a teenager, she didn't come out to them they didn't find out about her for a long time, because they said when she was a teenager, told her that, oh, if she ever came out as queer, that they would disown her. But then, once my grandfather's sister came out as a lesbian, he started saying that, oh, lesbians are cool. He still thought that gay men were weird, but he was suddenly, like, okay with lesbians now because his sister was one, So sometimes it's like,
That's my coworkers in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's pure fetishization, and other times it's bias.
And Ash, what's it like being non-binary for you?
Okay, I'm not really out to a lot of people, and it sucks like at school and stuff because we're pretty like separated. Although I do go to an art school, so it's a lot more like liberal and stuff. But yeah, I think overall it's all right. Like people are generally accepting and don't really care.
I have heard Canadians are much more accepting of the LGBTQ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard that.
And
I'm practicing the Canadian accent. I'm going to be running around going, hey.
And so, yeah, Canada's gotten
We're
a
going to
lot.
take a Europe trip, and I'm like, man, I don't want to go to Europe and we sound like Americans. We've got to do something. So
Yeah, I know. It's like my family were talking about, we're ideally looking at someplace in Europe, especially since, like we're, especially on my mom's side, we're mainly from Europe. We're mainly from England on my mom's side. Or since I'm familiar, because my mom was adopted, so I don't know any of her genealogy on the side of the family. Anyway, I digress. And it's like, if we don't end up going to Europe, we would probably end up going to Canada. And even then, like Canada, we would have to be very. Also, it like depends. Like another, as far as like my mom being a vet tech and being so invested in animal welfare, I think the the inclusiveness is definitely like a big plus. But also like in certain provinces, for example, like Quebec, there's a ban on pit bull breeds, and basically we have. So our dog Sterling, he's pit bull German Shepherd. We're not exactly sure what breed of pit bull is. A lot of people think it's a breed. It's not. According to veterinarians, it's actually an umbrella term describing different breeds. And it's like there's just so much. God, I mean, when it comes to immigrating to any country, it's like got to think about how it's going to affect every aspect of of our life. It says that like. One place might have better economy, affordable housing, education system, not safe for trans people. One place is like safer for queer people, but like we might have trouble like entering, not necessarily entering country, but like move to a certain province. It would be a huge issue because of the breed of one of our dogs, and also a dog that we just rescued. There's this 12-week-old stray puppy with her mom and dog and siblings that came into mom's work yesterday. They all needed homes, and because we hadn't room taken another dog, we took in her, and we think she's part pitty too. We think she's pitty and golden. It's like, it's like, I know that's maybe not entirely relevant, but it's like, God, it can just kind of be a bummer that I wish the world was more safer and inclusive in general. It's like, and exactly.
Well, and in today's political climate,
Yeah.
We feel like we're going backwards.
Yeah.
It really is going backwards, and like in a lot of places where people are just all these legislations that hurt people, and tell how prejudiced America is. Like even we have like the most bizarre laws are enforced, but not ones that are actually there to protect people. And also we have a law enforcement system that's extremely corrupt and even flat out genocidal, where it's like, you know, somebody can get killed for the color of their skin over here in the name of, you know, in the name of the law, because the officer claims to protect and serve, but, you know, they see a trans woman getting jumped, they don't do shit about it.
Right.
See, I was asking my mom the other day if we were going backward, because it felt like we was going backward. So I asked my mom, "Are we going back to when it was slavery time?" Because it looks like that to me. But my mom was
And
like,
also,
"No."
you know, mass incarceration. A lot of people. Part of the reason why mass incarceration is so prevalent is because of forced prison labor. And it's like, you know, slavery was abolished like in the late 1860s, but it's like we never really fully abolished it. We went from plantations to prison, you know, because the 13th Amendment still allowed for forced prison labor, and that contributed to the mass incarceration of people of color. And it's like, and look at all the progress we made with the Obama administration. And now the Trump administration is pulling back, and it's really concerning. Like, a lot of historians are saying that right now, you know, America right now resembles pre-Nazi Germany and Hitler's rise to power. Like, a lot of people forget, you know, that dictators like Hitler especially was democratically elected. That sometimes we're not careful, a democracy can turn into leadership, and it's just like, God, I remember I read Anne Frank's diary in middle school because we were required to read in school, and then later on, I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a film based off of it, and like as I was watching this and like comparing it to the actual historical document, I'm just like, wow, like a lot of the shit that happened before she and her family had to go into hiding, it's resembled a lot of the marginalization that minorities are facing in America now. It starts out, you know, the restrictions, they start out very, very small, and then they get more extreme over time.
Awesome. And looks like Ash, one of our awesome admins from LGBT National. Hello, Ash, at the bottom of
Yo, what's up, Ash?
Hello, Terrence.
Hey,
I mean, Cameron. Sorry.
And now we have double Ashes, which is awesome.
Yay.
Double S.
Yeah.
Hello, April.
Hello.
How's it down in Florida for you today, Ash?
Hot. Very hot.
Oh, another Floridian. Nice.
Is it hot? It's, I don't know what everyone's bedtime or time it is. What's everyone's time?
It's
6:37.
It's 5:37 here in California.
Yeah, let's do like a
37 here in
wrap up
Florida.
at like in 10 minutes or so. Let's do a wrap up in 10 minutes. But
All right.
would you guys like to
Hey,
read this book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, most
Oh, I
definitely.
almost forgot about that for a second. It's like we all got kind of sidetracked for a
It's
second.
all good. Luckily,
we did.
yeah, but luckily, all this stuff will be. My goal is to save this so we can have, send to each of you guys like a link so you guys can remember this and cherish this moment.
It's really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
How's everyone liking this platform so far?
I'm loving it. I like it. It's really cool.
Good for discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
this
really
is
good for
the first-
discussion on all this.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
this
Zoom's
is
a pretty good platform for long distance calls, and like I also see my therapist through Zoom now due to COVID-19. So
yeah, like this is my first time ever doing host.
yeah.
This is the first time. So Lex's friend Ash, I'm not sure if Lex told you about like the Facebook group LGBT International.
They just no, not really. They just said to like look it up and that it.
Yeah, so it's like a really fun, safe LGBT group where a lot of us are either admins or moderators of the group, and basically it's a safe place for LGBT individuals and allies to join in. You're welcome if you'd like.
I'm actually on there right now, approving a couple members into the group. So
Cool, thanks. Yeah, like so I'm not sure how good I am with storytelling. I should know better when I'm doing storytelling as a library employee, but wish me luck. So, and this might be very hard to read. So, are you able to see this clear?
I'm able to see it.
Okay, so I might.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can see it.
Basically, how I'll do is I'll say the words, and then show the picture like as so, and try to get it all clear, and then move on to the next because it
Sounds good.
So bear with me. So this book is called I Am Jazz. Ash, I'm not sure if you have heard of this book.
It's by Jazz Jennings, right?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, Jazz Jennings.
Yeah, Jazz. So it's basically, I believe, it's based on a true story. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's called, and this book's been banned and destroyed multiple times. So it's very important to show importance of this because it's based on a transgender boy. So basically, yeah, it's called I Am Jazz by Hurtful and Jazz Jennings. So I Am Jazz. For as long as I can remember, my favorite color has been pink. My second favorite color is silver, and my third is green. So let's see. There's that. I'm sorry if that cuts out. Hopefully this is good. The next one is here are some of our other favorite things to do is dancing, singing, backflips, drawing, soccer, swimming, makeup, pretending I'm a pop star. She's doing lots of different things. And mermaid, most of all, I love mermaids. Sometimes I even wear a mermaid tail in the pool. Okay. My best friends are Samantha and Casey. We always have fun together. We always like to wear high heels and princess gowns or cartwheels and trampolines. But I'm not exactly like the Samantha and Casey. Let's see. And I am a girl's brain but in a boy body. This is called transgender. I was born this way. When I was very little, and my mom wouldn't say, "You're such a good boy," I would have to correct myself, "No, Mama, a good girl." And that my family was confused. They always thought as me as a boy. Hopefully everyone as trans and non-binary should feel who they really are, and I hope no one of their family members or friends tease them as who they really are. As I got a little older, I hardly even played with trucks or tools or superheroes, only princesses and mermaid costumes. My brother told me this was girl stuff. I kept right on playing. My sister says I was always talking to her about my girl thoughts and my girl dreams and how one day I thought it would be a beautiful lady. She would giggle and say, "You're such a funny kid." Sometimes my parents let me wear my sister's dress around the house, but whenever we went out, I had to put on my boy clothes again. This made me so mad. Still, I have never gave up trying to convince them, pretending that I was a boy and felt like telling a lie, unfortunately. One of the most amazing things ever changed. Mom and Dad took me to meet a new doctor who asked me lots and lots and lots of questions. After the doctor spoke to my parents and I heard the word transgender for the very first time, that night at bedtime, my parents hugged me and said, we understand now, but be who you are. We love you no matter what. This made me smile and smile and smile, which is always heartwarming. Mom and Dad told me I could start wearing girl clothes to school and growing my hair nice and long, even letting me change my name to Jazz. Being Jazz felt so much more like being me, which always good. Dead names are always the worst. and everyone knows the importance of their authentic names and not using their mispronoun names or their mispronouns or their dead names is always bad. Mom said being Jazz would make me feel different from the things other kids at school, but being different is okay. What is important, she said, is that I'm happy with who I am. Being Jazz caused some other people to be confused to like the teacher at school. At the beginning of the year, they wanted me to use boys' clothes in bathrooms and play on the boy toys team and June gym class, but it didn't feel normal to me at all. I was so happy when the teacher changed their mind. I can't imagine on not playing on the same team as Casey and Samantha. Even today, there are kids who tease me or call me by my boy name or ignore me at all. This makes me very crummy. Then I remember that the kids who get to know me usually want to be my friend. They always say I am one of the nicest girls at school. I don't mind being different. Different is special. I think what matters most is what person is like inside. And inside, I am happy. I'm having fun, and I'm Jazz. Hopefully you guys could hear this story. So what did you guys think?
I thought it was cute.
It was a cute
I
book.
loved it.
Yeah,
It was really awesome. I like it.
Hey, Danny, can you send me a link? Because my little cousins, I've been looking for a birthday gift. That might be a really good birthday gift.
Yes, and it looks like based on the real family, and I believe this is. Let's see. Do you see the two people? So this is her, and then the boy was the original, and then she transitioned into a girl. So I believe this is them. So overall, that's that book. And the last one, one of my favorite books. I was shocked when I was at the library. A baby, like a little toddler book for Pride. It talks about Pride colors. This is perfect for you, April. So you can share this too. Remind me your grandson's name again. Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah, you can show Jackson this
Congrats,
one.
April.
Yes.
Yeah, so Pride colors. So basically, this one you should be able to see. So a bright and red heart, like a little star, and then it shows the person.
Aww.
I love you. And this book also rhymes, so it says, "I love you just the way you are." Petals in orange, a snuggle and snooze. Be yourself, love who you are. And it shows them holding hands. Yellow sunshine smiles me so bright. I'm hugging you, kissing you so tight. Soft and green grasses, cool and shady trees. I love the person you grow to be. Sky so big, peaceful and blue. A whole wide world is here for you. And it shows like a person on the I'm LGBT and showing a rainbow cross street. Purple glitter, dancing wild. You are my very precious child. Rainbow flags, Pride Day fun. I always love you, little one. And then the back says, Pride Day and the rainbow flag. Each year in June, it reaches many countries around the world to celebrate LGBT communities through Pride Days. This event shows in parades, diversity, and freedom throughout. And then it has the meaning of the rainbow flag. The 6 meaning of the colors is healing, life, healing, sunshine, nature, peace and harmony, and spirit. And if you can tell, I'm wearing that shirt right here. So I thought this was a special book, especially in my state. My state's very conservative and red and not LGBT friendly. So I was shocked when I saw a board book for little kids. So I recommend worth checking out, and I can send you guys a link on this one.
There
And
was one at a bookstore near my house a while ago, and it was so cute. It was for kids, but it was all about, it was like a scary kid story because the kid is hiding in a closet, and then it comes out in this huge, like,
Aw.
so
aw,
cute.
could Ash, can you send that link to us by chance if you
I
know
don't
that?
remember the name of the book, but I'll
Which
try to
link?
find it.
No, I think you
Have
was
you
from
guys seen
the
the
other
John
Ash.
Oliver wrote?
Oh, I'm not used to there being two ashes.
John Oliver wrote one.
Sorry, I should like Ash 1, Ash 2, but I should have been more specific. But and the cool thing with this one of the Robin Stevenson, they made a little guidebook for the baby, for toddlers, and then they made one for kids. So kids now, like for elementary kids, it tells you a more in-depth book of all what LGT is in the U.S. and the importance of it all, and gives you a really good history of it. So this is a good another one. Yeah, and today marks today is June 28th, 2020, and today represents year 51 since do you know what happened 51 years ago?
Stonewall.
Oh.
Yeah, Stonewall. So
Stonewall.
yeah,
Uh,
so basically 51 years ago, a huge riot out in New York City caused come out because I forget the story of it, but like it's something with us LGBT people, and I know that for fighting for rights, and we
Right.
try to like come and overcome all the diversity and struggles we are still facing today, even after 51 years old. And 50 years this year marks their first ever Pride Parade in New York City after the Stonewall commencement, so it's very important. And just in Idaho, last year marked 30 years ago of Boise Pride started, and 30 years ago in Idaho, we still, my event organizer said the original first Pride in Idaho, all the LGBT people were still in wear bags on their head to hide their identity, who they really are. So even 20 years after Stonewall, they still feel insecure, and I hope everyone's Pride, if it's either remote or in person, is a safe one.
Yeah, I just did a YouTube video of Stonewall Riot Foundation on my YouTube channel. So
How are they doing? I heard there's a possibility that they might have to shut it down.
Yeah, like that one, I have heard of that one. Like I think, I know that they want to like try to preserve it.
Yeah.
Right.
National
Yes.
landmark. I hope
Yeah.
so.
If
They need
we're
to keep it.
to close it, I do understand that it's a very old building and it might not exactly be code, so I understand why they might have to close it as a functioning inn. However, if they are going to close it, I do think that they should still build it up for preservation purposes.
And the Stonewall riots, from what Google is saying, it has lasted a total of like 5 or 6 days. So it's such a big part of all the LGBT stuff, and like on the tying in with LGBT each month in LGBT International, our Facebook group, we create a monthly Pride guide where it shows all our awesome events that is happening worldwide. And Ash, you might be interested in doing it, and probably Archibald, Bryce, Ash, Terrence, and April knows the Pride guide, but Ash, you might like it as well. Yeah, it shows like all the cool LGBT events that we create each month, and basically this month, 1 of July, I'm happy to announce we have 93 events happening this month.
Oh.
In July, which is really good. Yeah, like we had 93 active events, like 12 of them are like, I think, like in person, which is very dangerous to me, but they're trying to maintain social distancing. A lot of them are going Zoom, which is awesome.
A lot of them are.
And then there's like 35 or so like postponed events and 23 canceled, but we try to record as many events as possible.
Want to
And
see how it? Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
what were you saying, Archibald?
Saying that one thing that I'm interested to see where this goes. Obviously, there are going to be they're all either postponed or canceled right now, but I really want to see like where Pride is going to go in the theme park industry, because last year I was surprised when it happened in the U.S. It's only supposed to happen in Disneyland Paris, but this year both Disneyland Paris and Disneyland in the U.S. had their own Pride events, and something, especially since theme parks like Disney and Universal that pride themselves on being a family-friendly brand, and how all the homophobia that's out there, people insisting that queer people aren't family friendly. I think it was for them to do that in the U.S. and that not this year. I don't think it's going to happen this year because of the whole coronavirus. But next year, I kind of want to see if this continues, or if like other theme parks will start having their own events as well.
I mean, I was looking forward to go to Gay Day at Disneyland this year, but
just an FYI, in Florida, from what we know from Disneyland, they're like postponing every event till like the middle of 2021. They just canceled their Mickey Mouse event for Halloween. Universal's probably going to cancel Halloween Horror Nights, which breaks my heart as a horror fan, but it's so there's going to be a definite cancellation of a lot of events. So that's just what it is. And guys, I just want to say a little something. I know there's a lot of hatred. I know there's a lot of ugliness, but here's what I think it is. I think it's those people who have all that hatred, all that violence in their heart. I think it's just them realizing that their time has passed. It's become more acceptance is showing up, and I see more love than I see hate. These are just the hateful people hurting out and getting angry. That's what they're doing, guys. When you corner an animal gets aggressive and crazy. Well, that's what's happening to all these bigots and all these hateful people. They're in a corner and they're scared out of their mind. So don't take it too much, guys. This is I think the big turning point we've all been waiting for. I think this is the turning point where people will go, screw racism, screw homophobia. We are going to try to be better. Donald Trump is the last symptom of a bad situation.
I want to thank you, Bryce, for because you say you went to Black Lives Matter, so I want to thank you for doing that as well.
That's it. A lot of us can't protest right now because we have at-risk families. I mean, if I could, I would, but my mother is at a very high risk for COVID-19, and I wouldn't want. If I were to be identified at the protest, I gotta, that would be bad for me because my husband is black. I have white privilege, worse, I'd probably get arrested, but he'd probably get killed, It's so, my heart really goes out to people because it is just so important, and a lot of us are unable to do it, whether it's because we're at risk ourselves or because we have access to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out to our first ever event. And hopefully in our coming months or so, or near November or so, we'll have another event like this. And hopefully we'll see you all there. Does anyone have any final thoughts or questions, concerns, anything else on the mind before we conclude?
Everybody wear a mask, wash your hands, be vigilant, be safe.
Yeah, like what I've been
with the group, so
definitely be safe. Definitely be safe.
Wear these, guys. Wear these.
Like just in today from the mail, I ordered something to wear rainbow gloves, and I got like these from Amazon.
Nice.
So that's a rainbow pair of like gloves I can just wear out in public to show my pride, even with wearing gloves.
Yeah.
Florida's getting pretty crazy. We're up like 9,000 cases or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thankfully I'm in New Mexico.
Last I checked, we were like 9,200.
Yeah. We still getting new cases, but over here in New Mexico, the curve has been pretty steady. Thankfully, our governor does have a really good head on her shoulders, and she has been very responsible about this pandemic. It's like, yeah. And, this was like really fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. For Ash, are you friends with Lex on Facebook so I can send you any information you would like?
Which one?
No.
The Lex, the new face one.
Yeah, I had them on Instagram, but not on Facebook.
Okay, like that, I can send it to Lex and Lex can pass it to you, if that works.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out, you guys. Hope you stay safe, and thanks for coming out. And I did record this the whole event so we can like rewatch it, and if we want to ever remember this excellent event, we can always remember it. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
stay safe, and thanks for coming out,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Daniel, for all everything you've put into this. Thank you.
And
Yeah, thank you, Daniel.
I designed.
I love that shirt, Bryce. I love it.
Yeah. I tried to create a fun back cover today, so this is what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. If you guys can leave individually so I don't mess up the recording, that would be fabulous.
Nope, can't. There we go.
Have a great day.
You too.
Love that.
Have a good one.